Hi, I'm Laurel Thompson. Today I'm going to demonstrate Martelé and other stopped bow strokes. In this category of bow strokes, the bow stops between notes. These types of strokes provide consonant sounds that make music interesting, provide contrast to smoother vowel sound strokes, and add clarity to passages in general. The primary bowing in this category is the Martelé, though I'm also going to demonstrate slurred staccato and certain types of détaché that can apply to notes with accent or dot markings. Martelé, French for hammered, is the stroke of choice for percussive accents. It is distinguished from a simply emphasized or stressed note by its intense, pressured start. In her book, Orchestral Bowings and Routines, violinist and educator Elizabeth A. H. Green heralds it as the underlying foundation on which ultimate clarity of style is built. Martelé can be played in any part of the bow, be used for any length of stroke, including full bows, and for everything but very fast passages. Martelé is typically notated with hairpin accents or wedges above notes, although, depending on the accuracy of the composer's notation, it can also be implied with sforzando and rinsforzando markings, or a combination of dot and accent type markings. Martelé requires distinct initial pressure, followed by a total release of this extra pressure once the bow is moving. To begin, rest your bow on a string in the balance point area and lean your index finger heavily into the stick. You want to see it physically moving down toward the string and feel the hair gripping so much that you could bend the string from side to side by slightly pulling the bow back and forth. Once you have this grip on the string, release the pressure and do a simple détaché stroke. So press and release and bow. Press, release, and bow. Now you must learn to combine these two actions. Place your bow near the balance point again in preparation for another down bow. Lean into the stick, and at the precise moment you begin to open your elbow, release your finger pressure. Imagine your hand rotating out and away from you as the bow releases out of the string. Bring the bow to a complete stop on the string and similarly prepare for your up bow. Again, lean in, and then release as you close your elbow. Focus on listening for a distinctive crack at the beginning of each bow. Common challenges with Martelé include releasing too soon or too late, and having an uneven bite quality between up bows and down bows. Releasing too soon would basically turn into a détaché. Releasing too late and you've got way more bite than you were looking for. And having an uneven bite quality between the down bows and up bows, or the string of bowings in general. They're just uneven, and you want evenness for this stroke. If you find that you are releasing too late, first realize that learning Martelé requires some of the crunchy sound so many detest in poor string playing. Because we want just a tiny piece of this sound as our beginning accent, when learning, it's better that you have a bit too much than none at all. Don't worry, with careful listening, it's easy to harness the sound in just the right amount. This brings us to the issue of releasing too late. If you're getting an overly crunchy start, back up to just separating the pressure and stroke motions completely. So press, release, bow, press, release, bow, and gradually lessen the time between each action until you have one smooth motion and, most importantly, one smooth accented sound. Press, release, and bow, press, release, and bow. Stephen Clapp, violin professor and dean emeritus at the Juilliard School, reminds students that the most important element of the Martelé stroke is the silence, while the most notable characteristic is the pinch. Between these two, you have a wide palette of percussive expression. You can have a pianissimo bite or a fortissimo bite. An example of a pianissimo bite and a fortissimo bite. Your stroke could last for half the note value, for 3/4, or for nearly the entire duration, so practice varying the silence too. No matter what the tempo of the piece you're playing and the value of the notes, it's very important to leave enough time to prepare each note. This is why Martelé doesn't work for very fast passages. Marcato, Italian for marked, is a musical term rather than a specific type of bow stroke. It can be indicated in music notation by name, or sometimes as hairpins added to notes. Since some composers may actually be looking for the pinch of a Martelé when notating in this way, use your ears and your best judgment when interpreting. Much confusion exists around exactly how to achieve marcato on a violin. Some say it's the same as Martelé, while others liken it to a broad staccato. Many texts don't mention it at all in regards to bowing. Juilliard's Stephen Clapp sees it as a term to describe the energy of a stroke, achieved by using speed at the beginning of the stroke rather than pressure. To change from détaché to marcato, he says, you must add speed to the beginning of the stroke. It adds punch and can be played anywhere in the bow. But unlike the simple détaché, there may or may not be a break between notes. When there are breaks, varying their length can help mold a musical phrase. When marcato is indicated, some space between notes is generally indicated too. Let's talk about staccato. Staccato, the musical term, is different from the staccato bow stroke on a violin, creating much confusion among players and teachers alike. The term staccato, which is Italian for detached, is notated by a dot above or below a note, or occasionally the printed term. It means that the note should be played for half its value, followed by the remainder of its value as a rest. Unless something indicates the need for more of an accent, play staccato the same as détaché, but stop the bow between notes. During these pauses, keep the bow on the string. On the other hand, staccato, the bow stroke, is notated with dots above or below a series of slurred notes. At slow to medium speeds, staccato is basically one or more Martelé strokes in one bow direction, usually up bow. It has a similar percussive bite as Martelé and, however brief, a clear break between notes. The bow should stay in the string the entire time. At fast speeds, staccato needs to be addressed slightly differently. Since faster speeds are generally the problem with this stroke, this will be our focus in this section. When a faster staccato does not come naturally, it's possible to develop it with practice. Often, the problem lies in the fact that players try to quicken the motions of a slow staccato. Unfortunately, there are just too many motions involved with this approach. Plus, the bow dipping in and out of the string slows the pace. We want to keep the bow in the string the entire time. So try this exercise. Use an eraser stroke when learning staccato. To accomplish this, start with a tremolo in the upper third of the bow. Press hard and use minimal bow lengths, about ½ inch or even less. The sound should be grubby and gluey, and the motion should be driven by the wrist. Once you have the tremolo, begin to close the elbow. Quite magically, the up bow movement coming from the elbow will cancel out the down bow tremolos to get a string of up bow staccatos. Be sure to stay in the string the entire time. Once you start moving from the elbow, the pressure coming from the index finger will spread out over a greater area, producing a clearer tone. If you start to slow down again, notice if you are releasing pressure at any point or using large wrist motions. Rather than moving from the wrist, some students find it easier to think about pinching the bow between the index and thumb, or inwardly rotating the forearm from the elbow so that the index finger makes a series of tiny presses into the bow stick. Make sure that the elbow and wrist motions work independently and simultaneously, as demonstrated in the eraser stroke exercise. Too often, players either focus only on the wrist and drag the rest of the arm behind, or use only the forearm, which is just not as effective for making small, quick movements. After you have a good handle on the eraser stroke, try 2 up bows and a down bow to get back to position. Gradually increase the number of up bows to 3, 4, 5, and so on. Try different rhythms to gain control and even out any discrepancies in rhythm. Try string crossings. To stay honest as you gradually increase the speed of your staccato, use a metronome. But don't be surprised if you can only comfortably increase by about 10 clicks a week, even if you're practicing every day. It takes time. I'm Laurel Thompson. Thank you for watching Strings Guides.